So I'm sure that you know of people that who buy way too many books, or maybe you're one of them. I'm sure that I used to be one of them, and I stopped doing that by uploading one like bookstore app and favoriting all the books that I want to buy in that app so that I don't have to buy them. And now in that list, I think there's more than 200 books, which is not, which doesn't sound healthy, but at least they're not in my house, because my house, I wouldn't able to fit them all here, and I wouldn't be able to afford all of those books. So that's the that's the healthiest way I can manage this habit. And thinking about this made me realize one interesting thing about books, because we talk about consumption culture and how dopamine affects us, how we like or after these dopamine sources, and how we do dopamine detox, and have books play an important role in those dopamine detox sessions, because it is said that books help you elongate your attention span. But if it made me question, if you buy way too many books, does it really help with your dopamine system, or is it just one other way of finding an easy dopamine source? And today I want to explore that with you, to be honest. So maybe it is a good idea to start with what dopamine is, and what dopamine detox is, what dopamine source is, what is attention. Well, these are way too broad of terms, but simply put, dopamine is one neurotransmitter that is used in your brain and also in your neural system. It's not just in your brain, it can be in other parts of your body, but the point that has the core public attention, ironically, is the role it plays in your brain, because dopamine system in your brain is associated with reward system, how you perceive rewards and how it affects your behavior. And because now we have very easy dopamine sources, those are being social media and TV, digital content are usually labeled as easy dopamine sources. Because of that, this phenomenon, this system has caught many eyes on it, because it is said that it affects negatively if it is used or relied upon way too much, because dopamine system, if used too much, can affect your long-term plans, long-term ambitions negatively, because you started to find shortcuts, you start to find easy ways to saturate yourself and make yourself feel satisfied somehow. Because of that, it is argued quite a lot, and I'm not going to get into that argument, to be honest, in this video, but it is very important in that sense in our society, and that's why it is used or talked about this much, in this extent. And because dopamine, it has this important role, negative or positive, it has an important role nonetheless. Because of that, it has been talked so much, and there has been many discussions about how we can deal with this phenomenon and how we can deal with these negative effects. And in regards of that, there has been a new term, that is dopamine detox, and it is where you step away from easy dopamine sources such as social media, and you mainly isolate yourself for some time and get your brain accustomed to the normal flow of life, which is also another discussion. What is normal flow of life in modern ages? I don't know. But to get back to nature, to read books, to consume large think pieces, so that you can keep your attention on those pieces for longer, because dopamine is said to affect your attention span as well. It lowers it because your brain learns that it doesn't need to have a very long attention span to be satisfied. But real life doesn't really work like that, because success and life satisfaction is very much tied to how much you can keep your attention on one thing, and how much you can work on that thing, how long you can work on that thing, and how long you can hone down your skills, and how much you can get better. In contrast to that, the new system, the new social media, the way that we consume content and knowledge has changed so much that it has really affected our attention and our way of living. And to be successful, it is said to have regular dopamine detoxes. Also, it has been said, I have heard it many times, online or offline, that the attention span of a modern human has shrank so much that people used to be able to listen to 3-hour debates 100 years ago, but now they're not really accustomed to that anymore, and we get bored and we just get along without days or with new content, to be honest. And because of that, it has been said that we have lost the ability to work on deeper meaning, deeper concepts, deeper terms, and get deep in life like humans used to do. And we have lost one aspect of humanity. This is one side of the discussion. There is obviously many sides. There is obviously long contents as well, but this is mainly the part that has been said to affect humans the most. And because of that, reading books, listening to long debates, long content has been really praised. But also, other than social media, there are other dopamine sources, easy dopamine sources, such as shopping. Gambling is also one of them, but it is also very similar to social media as well. There are some other real life easy dopamine sources that people get really like tangled up, and sometimes we see people get addicted to these sources, like gambling or shopping. And with the shopping aspect, I think there is one important thing that we should talk about, which is books. I know way too many people that buy way too many books and they don't read them. They just throw it in their house and just look at them. They don't even look at them. They just browse the store, browse the shop, and find the books that interest them, that, they found interesting, and they buy them and they get home and they never read. I used to do that. I have many books that I haven't read that I decided that I'm not interested in anymore. But I see way too many people that do this, and it made me wonder if it is also tied to dopamine, dopamine addiction as well. Because reading a book can be very helpful, because you have to focus on it to understand it, and you have to focus on it for a long time, which also helps with a longer attention span. But in the meantime, we also buy way too many books because we are a consumption society, and because of that, does it really have that effect, or is it that the capitalist order and the rich, I talk about them in all my videos, but the system is pushing us towards, dopamine addiction, even with books as well, because it is like, oh, look at this interesting book and it is going to be very helpful to you, please buy it, and you buy it and you don't touch it ever again. And I also see it in stories as well. I have seen many stories, many current stories, many recent stories that have came out that have been praised. But in their structure, I see that they, have this structure that is jumping from one moment to another, or from 1 year to another, or like 5 years later, which is kind of, confusing sometimes. This is mind-boggling, but this is also very similar to how social media works. And it also makes me wonder if we change the books to suit and fit into our dopamine systems. Because to be honest, I talked about this in one of my recent videos, I don't enjoy reading books as much as I used to, because in past I used to have to focus on a train of thought so much that it would get me out of my real life, and I had to think about it, blah blah blah. But in current stories, one, they are depressing, two, they are very fast paced, and three, the cover art usually is way too interesting for that depressing fast paced story. And it really makes me wonder if books are really helpful in that regard. I respect all the storytellers and I respect all the designers who do those. There is also beauty in those kind of stories as well, obviously. If there weren't, they wouldn't be praised that much, I suppose. In that regard, I think we have lost the ability to, focus for a long time so much that we also don't realize how we changed the books. And I think it is an important topic, and I think it is an important debate. Am I trying to say that those people who buy way too many books need help? No. Am I saying that these stories have to change? No. This is the current time and how it is working right now. But if you're talking about attention span and dopamine detox, we need to look at books through a different lens. Although, you could argue that these, fast-paced stories also still helps people to focus on stories for a longer time, because even though it's fast-paced, you're still following one story arc, and it is helping you follow, and it is helping you keep your attention on that story for longer. But still, in that debate, it is a counter-argument, kind of, I suppose. But through all of that, there is one important sentence, I think, that I have remembered when I was thinking about this video, that I have watched a psychologist talk about books a year ago, I think. And she was like, she was talking about her therapy journey, and she was like, I used to want to read so much, and I used to want to buy all these books, but then I realized that I cannot read them, and I had to stop myself from buying them so that I don't feel like I failed. And in her therapy journey, she accepted that she had to, to feel satisfied, she had to buy those books and keep it in her library, and that is what she did at the end, and it satisfied her. What I'm saying is that it doesn't matter what you do with your time. If you want to have a longer attention span and want to have a healthier dopamine system, there are ways to do that, but not everyone has to do that. Not everyone wants to have that attention span or that healthy dopamine system, and some people really feel satisfied to buy new books and look at them, and it is in and of itself is an art form, because that cover design is an art form, and you can keep it in your house as much as you like. And there is that one important aspect in this discussion as well, which is people will do what they will do, and it will satisfy them or not, and they will be the ones that will decide if they are satisfied or not. And if they're not, they're going to find other ways to feel satisfied. So yeah, this has been my discussion for today, which was kind of all over the place, but I don't think I had a message, but I hoped I clearly made myself understood. Hopefully, we will see. Thanks for listening, at least. If you liked it, please leave a like down below. If you have any ideas or opinions about the things that I have said, please leave them down below in the comment section. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And until next time, take care of yourselves. I will see you. Bye-bye.